All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to be talking about securing your CI/CD pipelines, and we're zoning in on GitHub Actions. For anyone who's a developer, a security engineer, or a team lead, this is one of the most critical new frontiers you've got to lock down. Think about it. Your GitHub Actions environment is incredibly powerful. I mean, it's got privileged access to your source code, your build artifacts, and a lot of the time, even your cloud admin credentials. It's totally essential, right? But that power also makes it a brand new and super critical attack surface that adversaries are very actively targeting. And look, this isn't just some theory. GitHub's own security team laid it out perfectly. This is how it goes down. A vulnerability lets some untrusted code run, a compromised dependency spreads like wildfire, and over-permissioned credentials get stolen. It's a chain reaction, and just one weak link can bring the whole system down.
So the big question is, how do we break that attack chain? Well, that's what we're here for. We're going to walk through a complete roadmap for hardening your GitHub Actions. We'll cover credentials, those tricky dependencies, the runners themselves, and of course, how to automate your security so you can actually scale it. Okay, first things first, let's really get a handle on the real-world risks we're facing here. This isn't about finding a simple bug in your application code. No, this is about securing the very infrastructure that builds and deploys it.
What we're really talking about is the classic supply chain attack. Instead of trying to bash down the front door of your production servers, attackers are way smarter. They go after the softer targets in your development process, the tools, the third-party actions, the libraries that you implicitly trust and build on every single day.
And the TJ Actions incident, wow, that was a huge wake-up call for everybody. Here you have this super popular, widely used action that got maliciously updated. And because so many workflows were just pointing to a mutable tag, that poisoned code spread instantly. We're talking thousands of repositories compromised before anyone even knew what was happening. Okay, so where do we start? Well, the first and maybe the most critical link we have to break is our reliance on long-lived stored credentials. It's simple. If an attacker can't get their hands on a powerful, persistent key, their attack pretty much hits a dead end. What you're looking at here is a total shift in mindset. We're moving away from that old model of just storing static secrets in GitHub, which is super risky, to a dynamic, zero-trust approach using OIDC. With secrets, one little leak can be absolutely catastrophic. With OIDC, there's no long-lived secret to leak in the first place. So how does this OIDC magic actually work? It's pretty clever. Your workflow basically pings GitHub and says, hey, I'm running a job for this specific repo and this specific branch. GitHub's OIDC provider then issues a signed token, a JWT, with all that info baked in. Your cloud provider, like AWS or Azure, checks that token's signature, validates the claims, and only then does it issue a temporary access key that expires the second the job is done. It's like getting a single-use ID badge instead of the master key to the entire building.
All right, next up, let's talk about third-party dependencies. You know, the code you didn't write, but your entire pipeline depends on. This is ground zero for the TJ Actions attack, so getting this right is totally non-negotiable.
And this is so important. When you see something like uses actions/checkout at v4, that at v4 is just a pointer. It's a mutable reference. The owner of that action can move that tag to a totally different commit whenever they want, including a malicious one. The only way, and I mean the only way, to guarantee you're running the exact code you expect is to pin the action to its full immutable commit hash.
So pinning isn't just some nice-to-have best practice. It's a core defense mechanism. It makes your builds deterministic, which just means the same workflow will always run the exact same code every single time. It stops tag poisoning dead in its tracks and protects you even if an upstream tag gets deleted. It's your shield.
Okay, so we've talked about credentials and dependencies. Now, where does all this code actually run? Let's get into the runners themselves, because your choice here has massive security implications. You've basically got two choices. Use the runners GitHub provides or host your own. And this is a huge security decision. GitHub's runners are ephemeral. You get a fresh, clean, isolated virtual machine for every single job. They handle all the patching and security. But with self-hosted runners, well, that's all on you. You get more control, for sure, but you also inherit all of the security responsibility. And look, if you absolutely have to use self-hosted runners, you need to be incredibly careful.
The number one rule, and I can't stress this enough, is never use them for public repositories. Anyone on the internet can open a pull request and suddenly be running code inside your private network. You have to make them ephemeral, hard to the OS, lock down all the network traffic, and run everything with the least privilege possible. You're basically building a fortress from scratch. Okay, all of this is great, but let's be real. Trying to manually check every single workflow and dependency for these kinds of issues at scale, it's just not going to happen. It's impossible. That's why the final piece of the puzzle is building automated security guardrails right into your pipeline. And just to give you a sense of the scale of the problem, research found that over 54% of JavaScript-based GitHub actions have at least one security weakness. That's more than half. There's no way you can catch all of that by hand. You absolutely need tooling. The good news is the open source community has given us some amazing tools. You can plug scanners like ActionLint for syntax errors, Putine for security anti-patterns, OpenSSF Scorecard for overall project health, and GG Shield for secret scanning right into your CI process. They act as an automated gatekeeper, catching these problems before they ever get merged. Okay, so that was a lot. If you remember nothing else, please remember these 3 things. Number 1, get rid of your stored secrets and adopt OIDC. Number 2, pin all of your third-party actions to a full commit hash. And number 3, automate security scanning as a pull request check. Just doing those 3 things will massively improve your security posture. And that really brings us back to the fundamental question you have to ask yourself. Is your CI/CD pipeline an asset that's speeding up innovation, or is it your single biggest liability waiting to be exploited? By implementing these controls, you can make sure it stays a powerful tool for building great things and not an open door for attackers.